Are you looking for valuable business advice to reach that 7-figure revenue mark? Do you want actionable tips to properly navigate through every business challenge you encounter along the way? Let Tersh Blissett and Josh Crouch be your guide in getting you to the top here at Service Business Mastery. Tune in as they sit down with world-renowned authors in business, leadership, and personal growth who share valuable insights about management, marketing, pricing, human resources, and so much more. Let their nuggets of wisdom gold guide you in owning a thriving, profitable, and ever-growing business. Here are your hosts, Tersh and Josh.
What's up, everybody out there in podcast world? Hope you're having a wonderful day. You're listening to the Service Business Mastery podcast, and I'm excited about today's show because we have Victor Rancour on. And if you don't know who Victor is, he's
what rock are you hiding under?
Right, you definitely are not in any Facebook group, pertaining to HVAC. So this guy has so much going on. He's definitely one of those guys that I don't know if he ever sleeps or not, because there's always something stirring going on with him as far as new business adventures and everything goes. But what do you got to say about this, Josh?
I'm already exhausted just talking to him before we got on here.
Yeah, I mean,
he's got so much stuff going on. It's insane. It's mind-boggling to me, as we both have businesses and we've both been in business a long time, like to have the number of things he's juggling at one time and bringing about to the industry, which I'm telling you, there's some game-changing stuff here where technology is finally really getting integrated into our industry, which is huge. And he's doing a couple different things, which I'm sure he'll talk about when we get him on here. Yeah,
absolutely. And I can truly say that it's probably the first buddy of mine who will be a billionaire. So, and that's cool. So whenever he has extra spare $20, he can just send it my way. But with that being said, welcome to the show, Victor.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on. Quite the intro. Man. Quite the intro.
I appreciate that. Cool. So tell us, I guess, a little bit of what you're dabbling in with everything, and then also the event that's going on next week.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you guys, whoever you guys don't know me, my name is Victor. I own Absolute Airflow, which is a heating and air conditioning company out in Southern California. I started about 3 years ago in August. We scaled it to, we've done over $30 million in revenue in those 3 years. From that, I've kind of grew, I made a really big point when I started my business to kind of share everything I did along the way. And along the way, I kind of just built my own brand, I guess. So, from there, I've been able to spin off and start a bunch of other opportunities from, service hero marketing to now we're working with me and my partner coming out. We're about to roll out next week a sales training and technical training app called the Service Hero app. I'm also partnered over with Sera, which is a new CRM that we're going to be competing with, most of the big guys out there very quickly. And some of you guys have checked it out. If you haven't checked it out, you can. Also a partner over at a company called Carrot, and we've been working pretty extensively on that. So I got my hands in a lot. And then obviously, like you guys said, we have my event next week in Las Vegas. I got, Grant Cardone, Tommy Mello, Dan Antonelli, Ishmael Valdez, Weldon Long. It's just to name a few people that are going to be there. Jason Walker that are going to be there, obviously, to get on stage, teach about sales training, teach about business growth. A lot of the events are actually going to be about how to scale and build the right culture and how to grow your business into a $100 million business. So I got a lot going on. I don't know really where to start, but I'll let you guys kind of guide me, I guess.
So what's your favorite energy drink?
Yeah, that too.
You know what? When I do drink them, it's Bang. I'll drink a Bang every once in a while, but most of the time, wife is yelling at me if I'm drinking too much coffee or too many energy drinks. I'm pretty mellow on that stuff.
That's funny. So when it comes, you have massive growth, right? When it comes to bringing on technicians, that's the complaint that most people have, is not enough labor force out there to have good quality techs. What's your solution to that, and how are you getting guys trained? And it's not just technicians, but office staff, call center, that type of individuals? How are you getting them trained so fast?
Obviously in the beginning when I started my business, just like everybody else, right? You're in the same labor pool as everybody else, and you're just trying to coerce people to come in. Hey, I'll pay you $2 more an hour. I'll pay you $5 more an hour. I'll pay you a sign-on bonus, and you're just trying to get everybody you can, right, and bring them in. And you'll find that quickly it builds a culture of always asking for more. They're never satisfied. They're always threatening to leave. They've already been somewhere else, so that other owner still has communication with them. They're always, stuff like that. So it becomes just a rat race, and then they kind of hold you hostage, right? And I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that within a business, is the techs and the installers, people start holding you hostage. And it starts creating this bubble, right? And eventually the bubble pops to where you can't sustain that. I can't keep giving you more money. I can't keep doing this. I can't just keep bending over. And at that point, you have a choice, right? You can either keep going where you're at, where it's going to just eventually it's going to just be peaked out, or you're going to start losing guys because someone else is offering them more, or you start building from within. And that's what I decided to do. It's been about 1.5 years, almost 2 years of kind of grooming guys and bringing up guys from the ranks rather than going and stealing guys. So I'd say right now my staff here in California is about 95%, about 93 to 95% never worked anywhere else besides that absolute airflow. And for me, it's just, creating a process on how to bring them in. And with that, I came from a company that did training, took people from scratch. I've only been in the industry for 6.5 years. I knew nothing about HVAC, didn't know what HVAC stood for. I got an opportunity to work at a great company out here in Southern California called Service Champions. And they trained me just kind of the way that I train my guys. I'm a little bit more thorough. I'm definitely a lot more thorough than they were back then. Back then, it was just like, hey, go sit in this classroom for 4 weeks, then go do some, and in the classroom, they didn't do much. I was like falling asleep.
Do a ride along.
And then they throw you in a truck for ride-alongs. And then all of a sudden you're out on your own. And I know that Leland's scaled that. Like, they got a full training facility, and they actually do technical training, and they teach these guys badass stuff. But when I did it, it wasn't like that. And along the way, I was a technician. I'm a technician by trade, and that's where I fell in love with the industry, was through being a technician and working hands-on. And then I just fell in love with sales. I just got really, really good at communication and getting people to understand why they need to replace the system, or why I'm the right guy to go with them. And I became very, very good at that, and I got paid a lot of money to do that. But along the way, I learned a lot of tricks and stuff to speed up the process. Like, hey, okay, if I go in, do I want to teach a guy everything he needs to know about a furnace, or do I want to teach him how to do low voltage troubleshooting first, right? Because if you know low voltage troubleshooting, the operation of a furnace, you can pretty much get away with most stuff, right? So the other stuff you're going to learn in the field. You're going to just have to learn it by trade. But let's figure out what the most important things to know when you walk out there day one, and that's what I'm going to teach, right? So I'm going to teach you how to check refrigerant. I'm going to teach you how static pressure, all these little things. I'm going to teach you as soon as possible, as quickly as possible. The other stuff, there's just no way to teach it all in the classroom. So you can sit there and waste time and pump your chest, but you're not going to learn it unless you're out in the field. But if they understand how low voltage works, how high voltage works, how how refrigerant works, you'll be able to scale it fast. And then obviously teaching them, a lot of my sales, being in Southern California, come from preventative maintenance. So you got to teach them the tune-up process. So like my guys, the second you go on a call with one of my guys, I'm telling you, it's like McDonald's, right? Like, my guys just follow the process every time. And that's what's allowed us to grow and groom these guys really fast. So I think that's been key. Obviously, having a training process, also having someone like me that's done it before, that knows the ins and outs of being a technician, things like that. So that's helped. That's also
what would you say?
I created the.
Sorry to interrupt you. What would you say the time frame is whenever you're bringing fresh people on until the time they can go out and do their own call? And I know you probably value this a lot, because you can't send the greenest guy to do all your maintenances, especially if you're producing your leads off of those maintenance calls. How long would you say it's safe before you can send someone who has never been in the industry out to do maintenance calls or service calls in general?
8 weeks. 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks is what it takes me. So I could take a green tech that knows. I could take a tech or a guy that knows nothing. Within 8 weeks, I can have him running calls, and probably be better than 90% of the technicians in the country.
Now, do your techs sell too, or do you have comfort specialists or tech? Or
no. So we have so we run with so instead of like, hey, just a straight sales guy or the tech training leads, right? We try to do with training visits, so that we have a couple field supervisors, and then I have a call by call manager that's going through. He's communicating with the techs all day long, figuring out who has the best opportunity, and then he's the quarterback deciding where we're going to send these field guys, right? So he says, hey, fucking Brad's over on a 20-year-old tune-up, or 20-year-old tune-up, furnace is in bad shape, both homeowners are there. He said, boom, hey, let's get our guy over there, right? Mm-hmm. So, it's a constant, always, watching every call and making sure you're sending the right guys the right calls.
But how did you do that whenever you first starting out?
Call manager.
Well, being small, like, because I love the call by call manager thought process. I have a buddy of mine that does it, and I actually went and shadowed him, and I was like, wow, this is friggin' awesome. But whenever I think of our listeners, sometimes we have people who only have, let's call it 2 technicians in the field and them. And so obviously they would be the call by call manager, but as well as anybody, when you're starting out, you're wearing a shitload of hats. So to say, okay, now I'm going to manage all the calls, like at what point can you put that in there? And obviously using your app, the Service Hero app, is going to be great for some of this stuff too. But yeah.
So obviously, part of the reason I created the app, right, is for myself, right? So, if you guys see it coming out, it's a Service Hero app. It's literally a sales training app. Like if you're in a call and you say, hey, I got a one legger, how do I go about it? And you'll be able to watch a quick video and tell you, hey, how I would go about this call, right? And that app came about because I couldn't be in all those places, right? And I'm like, man, if my techs knew exactly what I wanted to say in every single moment of any call, and they could just watch a real quick video instead of calling me at 24 hours a day, or late at night, or whatever it is, right? Or like now with the Hero app, the new tech's going to know he's going to be able to watch my tune-up process over and over. He's going to be able to watch, hey, this is how I wire a safety drain switch. This is how I wire a hard start kit. This is how I wire a capacitor. This is how I test a capacitor. This is how I do all this stuff is in the app. So you don't have to call people. So I think that's what's going to make the big deal with this app. Everybody's like, well, it's just, sales training. I'm like, no, I don't think you understand. It's like taking a service and sales manager and putting it in your guy's pocket. So imagine if you're a small guy that can't afford $100,000 a year manager, or $80,000 a year manager. And even if you could afford it, he's not going to be better than I am. I can tell you that much. So now I'm in their pocket, 24 hours a day, and they don't have to call the owner and ask. So they already kind of have the answer. But as far as a company,
well, is there a way to track it, like the
progress?
Yeah, the progress, or see if they're actually watching it, because I'd hate to invest in something and then they say, yeah, I'm watching it, but I still don't learn this shit, because that's I've had that before with different training stuff, YouTube videos and shit. Oh no, we lost him.
We lost him.
Yeah. He'll be back for sure. But do you know what I'm talking about, Josh? Like,
yeah. So you're talking about like Interplay's got their system where you can see the points and you can kind of manage it from afar. That's a great question.
That's what I love about Interplay is because of being able to.
You can see the progress.
That.
It
resets
so for those
every week too.
So, and for those that are listening right now or watching this so Interplay Learning, and what we're talking about is they have a system on the back end where you can actually you get awards and points. It's like a point system, and you can help manage your techs and see what their progress is. And honestly, what we used to do is we would assign their homework for the week. So here's 3 or 4 videos on whatever topic. So we created a whole schedule around it. So it was more like a classroom setting, right? Like, hey, watch these videos. Now on Friday, we're going to come back. You're going to teach it back to us. And
so you have a person actually teaching the class.
Well, it was our service manager's idea. He cut one straw, a little short, and we drew straws. We literally drew straws every Friday.
Did they know beforehand who would be teaching the class?
No.
So they all had to. Everybody had to learn enough to teach the class.
So everybody needed, especially like the guys that were greener, they needed to know enough so they didn't look like fools. And that we had young guys like literally tell me they watched the videos like 7 or 8 times because they were so nervous. But the beautiful thing is, so Interplay is great at getting you like a basic foundation of knowledge. It doesn't go into the other side of the job, right?
Things.
The sales and the
present
upsell,
presentation.
It to
the, that's the thing for me is like, whenever we do our weekly calls and we go through all of our okay, this is how you diagnose a defrost board, like blah blah blah. We get real technical, but I love what Victor said there, where he's like, do you have to teach diagnosing the defrost board, because then you have to go through every single one of the defrost boards, versus teach them how to do low voltage, teach them how to do high voltage, and then share the process, so they continuously do the same process over and over again. I think that's amazing there.
Well, and the thing I realized from our texts was most of them were going to YouTube to watch videos about stuff that they didn't know. They were already going online to try to find the answer. They just didn't. There wasn't a structured way to make sure not only can you have the answer here on the technical side, but if you get this question on a tune-up or this situation on a tune-up, how do you handle it? And that's where I think the service, I'm very excited to, even though I'm not an HVAC, I'm going to be buying the app just so I can see what's in it. Because I think stuff like that's super valuable for contractors. They just don't know how to put that together. The companies that put these great training programs in place are these massive companies with a lot of people. Like Victor, he's got a massive amount of people, Ishmael, Gettle, all these guys, they have people to build these phenomenal training facilities. And now I believe it's, and I hope I'm not speaking on it, I think it's $49 a month. You can have the Service Hero app. So whether you're a technician that is just by yourself and you're the one that wants to learn while you're in the field, you can get this app easily, afford it, and learn and improve your skills. So, but
yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing about it. And Victor's about to be back. His battery died on his iPad. I mean, on his laptop.
Okay. He's going too fast for his laptop.
That's funny. So what's Stacy say there?
So Stacy has the service. What she's saying is she has the Service Hero app. It's not live yet, which we know. I know Victor's got all his fingers and toes crossed that will be before next week, Wednesday or Thursday, when his event happens. But so
Tranual. So Stacy, what's your feedback? I love that you're here live. What's your feedback on Tranual? Because I've really teetered and tottered on it, because we use Microsoft Teams and I'll ask questions. We have our onboarding built within Teams, and I really want to build our onboarding throughout Tranual so that there's test taking at the end of it. So, but yeah, I love the thought process of Tranual. It was a little rich for my blood back in the day, but I think that it's changed up a little bit now. Welcome back, bud.
Hey, what's going on? Sorry about that.
You're good.
I was on my. You're not gonna be able to. I don't have my AirPods hooked up to this, but I had my computer plugged in the whole time, so I don't understand what the hell happened.
It happens. It's technology.
So Victor, where we left off, we were talking about, and we went a little bit into like interplay learning, just for people that don't know what it is. But we were talking about the difference between technology that's out there, like interplay learning, where it's just technical and it doesn't really dive into situational sales, how to approach a call, that sort of thing. So do you want to go a little deeper about everything that's included with your app?
Yeah. So, obviously there's the technical side, right? The technical side, in the past has always been, hey, let's go to YouTube or go to one of these sites that I come up with. And the issue with that, right, is that, and I don't know if you've, it's nice because we can make it. Have you ever gone to YouTube and you typed in, how do I replace a capacitor? And the video is 10 minutes long. It's a dude explaining himself. And you're trying to fucking fast forward to it. And you're like, dude, get to the fucking.
How do we play this at 2x here?
Yeah. How do we get to the point? And that was, and obviously, the money for me isn't in the technical side, right? Like people are coming to the app to learn how to sell shit at a high level consistently, right? And that's kind of what I'm going to bring to the table is the app is always going to be ever changing. Like we have a group that we're going to create. We're like, hey, how do I overcome this objection? Okay, cool. Next week I'll have that video in the app, and how to overcome that objection, stuff like that. So the technical side is a piece of it. Obviously, how to install fan motors, how to sell capacitors, and a lot of it is, hey, how do I explain to a customer why they need an air scrubber? How do I explain to a customer why they need a capacitor? Why is the capacitor going out? Or, hey, just because a capacitor went out, just keep in mind, usually it goes out because the other things are going on. So it teaches them how to communicate to the customer to get them to understand that, it's not just a capacitor. There's other things that led to that capacitor going wrong. But if you want to do the capacitor, we can. I just need you to understand, I'm able to walk them through, step by step, and I take my time with it. And when I'm communicating on the videos, I'll say, hey, I'll stop, right? Like, so I'll be explaining something, I'll stop and I'll say, hey, look, this is why I said this right then and why at this exact time, right? So I'm actually teaching them and coaching them as I'm going through it. I took the time to hey, let's take a step. Do you hear what I just said? Do you understand why I said it right then and there, right? Rather than saying that later. Or, hey, I'm going to use what I just said later on in this. So I'm going to show you how we tie this all together so it all makes sense to the customer, right?
So you had the whole why behind what you're doing, not just do this.
So that way they understand they understand the concept versus like, hey, just do what Victor does because he said so.
Yeah. So my big thing, if you've ever come to my training, I'm not just teaching you a process. I'm teaching you the why behind everything. Why am I pulling this blower motor? Why am I pulling the blower motor at this time? Hey, when I'm doing a furnace tune-up, how come I'm pulling the burner manifold first and not pulling the blower motor first, or whatever it is, right? And it's based per user, Len. So for
Victor, it's $49 per user, right? Is that?
Yeah,
I did see that when you weren't on here. I wanted to make sure that was accurate. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's only $49 per user. I made it extremely affordable. So if you have a couple techs, you're paying a couple grand a year to have a fucking badass sales trainer in your pocket, right? It's gonna, if you don't make your money back, there's something else going wrong in your business, to be honest. But I wanted to make it to where anybody can afford it. Or if the owner is being a cheap ass, like if I was a technician, if I had this for the first year I was a technician, I would have been fucking rich faster, right? Like, period. It's just this stuff you don't learn this. They don't teach us in class. They don't teach this stuff in other places. You only learn this by actually physically doing it for years on years on years around really high level people. So when I was, when I worked at Service Champions, I worked with some of the best sales guys in the country, $5, $7, $10 million. Like, these guys are the best of the best in the country. And I know all their tricks. I know all of them, and I'm a sponge, right? And I also created a lot of my own stuff too. So I'm able to take all this stuff from these multi-million-dollar sales guys, put it all in one place for you to watch at any time. It's not just like, hey, this is how Gene does it. This is how Jason does it. This is how, no, this is like a eclectic group of everybody. Yeah. And I'm able to help you, know what they say at all these different times. So, like I said, if I had this as a technician or a sales guy, I would have been selling hundreds of thousands of dollars a month very quickly.
Yeah. So whenever I was a technician back 05, 06, we didn't have Facebook and all this stuff to actually ask the questions and stuff. So we really, you are the people you surround yourself, the 5 people you surround yourself with. And if you're constantly hearing the reason why you should be selling this, how to sell this, or how to offer this. And I want people to understand and listen to the fact that the word sales is not a bad word. It's something that you must have in order to stay in business. So I want people to understand that we're not coming across as we want everybody to turn into a white t-shirt, a white shirt salesperson, blah, 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 the quote unquote negative connotation. But it's just you must offer this stuff so that we can stay in business. But we have technology now that we can rub shoulders with people across the entire world and learn the best of the best. And I think that's really cool that you brought that up.
So, the cool thing for me and Tersh is if you've ever been around me or any way that I operate, or you look up my business and you see our ratings and our reviews, and the way I teach stuff is not lie, steal, and cheat. This is how I get a customer involved every single time to let them help them make a decision. If you ever go through my training, I'm going to literally teach these guys how to every call, they should get a 5-star review, and you're selling every call. Okay. So I'm going to teach you how to do a badass service, but while I'm doing that badass service, I'm going to educate that customer more than he's ever been educated before. And then I'm going to earn the right to quote at the end of it, and I'm going to earn their business. And when I leave there with a $30,000 sale, they're still going to give me a 5-star review. Okay. And that's the kind of level that I'm trying to bring, and trying to get people to understand, and like I said, you guys don't know what Service Champions is. Service Champions is probably the biggest company, one of the biggest companies in the country now. Mm-hmm. But how they did business for years and years and years, they were the highest priced, but they brought a level of service that was unmatched by anybody. That what they do on every single call, day in and day out, is better than every company out there. So yeah, they are going to charge more. They earn it, right? And that's what I'm trying to teach these guys, is how do I earn the right? And also, I'll have motivational videos and all these other stuff that's going to be inside the app. That's going to get these guys to see that if you can follow this process, it's possible, right? Like 6.5 years ago, I was doing doing fucking construction. I was the guy, if you ever done stack stones, like I was using a grinder with fucking dust hitting me in the face, and I go home coughing every day, right? And that's what I used to do. And in 6.5 years later, I am a very, very well-off person, right? And I want to be able to show these guys that it's possible if you put the work in, but it's not just lie, steal, and cheat, because that's short-term success. I'm going to teach you how to have long-term success, create customers for life, and be able to take care of your family and your family and anybody else that's involved, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, hey, so there's a lot of buzz right now about Sera. And not because it's some hot chick or anything else, it's because it's software that actually is getting into the industry that is raising some eyebrows and stuff like that. Probably because your name's on it, Billy Stevens, who's been super successful. We just had him on the show. So can you talk us through a little bit about Sera and just whatever you can give us for right now?
What I can obviously give you guys, and I still remember the day that Billy, me and Billy would talk on social media, and one day he's like, "Hey, I'm going to fly out to California. I want to show you what we're working on." Cause I kept let me get a demo. He's like, "You know what? I need you to come show you in person." Right. And when he flew out to California, this is a little while back now. And it was still not where it's at today. It wasn't even named Sera at that point. It was Service Shift. Right. And when he came out, I remember sitting in my office and I'm like, dude, if this can only be if this is as good as you're saying and what you're showing me right now, this software is going to take over the industry. And he's like, well, what do you think? Would you put your name behind? I said, Billy, not only will I put my name behind it, I will make this the #1 software in the entire industry very fast, because that's where it belongs. And what the level that Billy's put into it and the time and energy and effort and his why behind it is what sells it, right? Billy didn't build this because he needed money. Billy is a very well-off man before he built Sera, right? And, if any of you guys know his background, obviously was with Berkey's, and which is now the Wrench Group, stuff like that. And his biggest thing has always been how to run an efficient business that just prints cash. Like if you like to print cash, that's what Sera's for, okay? And when he started building Billy Go 3 years ago, just to build the software. I mean, he literally didn't even start the business to run the business. He just brought in all these smart people and said, hey, let's build this software. And if we happen to build a great business, that's even better, right? And to kind of see where it's at now, and it right now it's still in its infancy, right? Which is beautiful for me, because I like to help build things, right? And I'm one of the early adopters on the software, and I'm going to be able to build out like some of the stuff that we're building out, the reporting stuff that we're building out, the call tracking, the other stuff that we're building out, and the AI in this thing. By next year, there's not going to be a competitor, and that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that they're like, oh, does it do this? Does it do what the other guys does? It doesn't yet, but it's going to do it, and it's going to do it a lot more, and it's going to do it a lot easier than what you're doing. Like it's so simple to use that it almost feels like you're missing something. Like, well, there's something off here, right? No, it's just that easy to use. So that's kind of what we've been working on, and my job, to be honest, is I'm going to be the face of it, and I'm going to grow my business from it, and I'm going to grow my business from what it is now to, I think it will be $100 million business on this software, based on I've been 10 days into using it. And we've sold close to 80 new memberships in 10 days in October.
What part of AI, like AI, we know what that is, but I'm trying to envision what you would even do with any kind of artificial intelligence. Like how would you use it?
So obviously the scheduling stuff, how the scheduling system works when it comes in, it's so like, you have like schedule engine, whatever, and you can it books into your thing, but that doesn't actually go decipher, hey, first off, are we available? Second, do we have the right guy available? I don't want to just take a 20-year-old perfect opportunity and go give it to a maintenance tech because I have a spot open. It's gonna, hey, let's move some other stuff and actually move calls around and do all this stuff to make sure that you're always putting the right guy at the right call. He's in the right geographical area. You're not sending the guy from all over town. It just makes everything run as efficient as possible. So I think that's kind of the big thing, is obviously the predictive dispatching, stuff like that that's built inside there. How
do you have to manually put that data in per technician? So each tech, you have to okay, this guy's a level 1 tech in the HVAC, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So when we first are onboarding people, we go through all their employees. We say, hey, this guy is this level, this guy is this level. And obviously as they evolve, you can check these new, hey, look, he can now do this. He can do this now. Right. So you actually build that stuff, even from your estimate guys, anything inside there, your plumbers, your installers, whatever they're the best at. And then you kind of stack rank them, and the software is going to know, hey, look, I got I have this, 1-year-old tune-up come in. Okay, I'm going to put it on this guy. I got a 20-year-old diagnostic, but the better guy is right now is on a 8-year-old tune-up. Hey, let's move the 8-year-old tune-up down to this guy, and we're going to move this 20-year-old diag in today.
Yeah,
that's insane.
How about price book wise? Do you have to integrate an old price book, or
No. So we're able to completely build out a new price book for you very quickly. So we'll take whatever your vendors, we'll take their SKUs from the vendors, upload it into the software. It goes very quickly. And then we build out the margin you want on those jobs, and we're able to build the price book out for you, pretty seamlessly, for the most part, because we're kind of building out. A lot of the people now are going to be kind of built out how my price book's built out. So we'll be able to copy and paste, and they can just change whatever they want in there based on what I'm already using. So they're going to know exactly, hey, this is how Victor prices his stuff, and they'll be able to, it's already pre-built like that. And if you want to change anything, let me know. So it's really quick to seamlessly integrate. Or if a company wants to run like I run, they can just boom right away. It's already built. So you just got to get your pricing from your vendors, how much you pay for the product.
How about the actual branding as far as in the price book? Because sometimes there's just struggle with, like with my guys, when we did our rebrand, there's some of our old brand stuff somewhere, and then blah blah blah. And so it's not an easy process of locating things and exporting price books and.
So we're not taking your old price book. We're just pricing, and we'll build it out how it needs to be. So there wouldn't be any of the branding issue in there, any of that stuff. So that wouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
So the calculation happens in the software for the pricing. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. We built it out.
Okay.
We built it out to where and we're obviously want to run off the correct gross margin right on everything that we do. So we take out every piece that goes to an installation from A to Z, and then we build it with that margin, with the margin that we want in there. We have all the financing fees built in there. We have all the commission, all that stuff built in there, and then you decide the margin you want to have at the end of it, and it's already pre-built. So now you know exactly what you need to charge to hold your margin.
Well, I can't wait till I see more about this, because I think Stacy and Josh, and there's some other people that I've seen in the groups. They've already jumped on board. So I'm very excited to see what that looks like.
We're about 90 days away from having a software that nobody can compete with. 90 by beginning of next year, the integrations and the partnerships that we are going to have are going to make it to where there's no one that can compete with it.
Dang. So with that being said, I mean, you're able to test this in a lot of areas, not just in Southern California, because you have some acquisitions and stuff like that going on. Can you dive into detail a little bit about that? Like what's your game plan there?
As far as what? Sorry.
Acquisitions in general and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I'm looking for young studs like me, or people that are interested in growing their business and doubling it, and I'm going a little bit different about an acquisition strategy and as far as a platform strategy. And I don't really want to go, we're the only one doing it this way, so I don't really want to go too much detail on it. But if you want to reap the benefits of your business doubling, tripling, quadrupling, and you want to be the one that gets the benefits, not the guy flying on the jet by himself, then we're kind of the platform you're looking for. And what we've built out is going to be able to make your business scale exponentially fast, and also help it to where you're going to get a massive exit at the end. So between me and my partner, there's no one else out there doing what we're doing, because they only care about themselves. And when you flip the script like we've actually put the owner in the driver's seat to where he's going to make the money. It becomes an unfair advantage for us, for our partners. And the cool thing is that you're going to get what you deserve for all your hard work, rather than the other guy gets you did all the hard work and he gets to reap the benefits. So we're pretty excited about it, and we're excited to talk about it. We have a bunch of companies that we're talking to in Vegas, and you saw some of the guys are going to be on a private jet with me flying out there and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So pretty excited.
So speaking of the event, do you want us to take us through a little bit about what to expect for the event next week, and some of the speakers and just some of the things you guys are going to be covering?
Yeah, let me hold on a second. I got to pull the list of speakers. I don't even know them all.
It's a big list. I tried to get them all in the picture on Facebook.
It's a big list. So a lot of it. So this event obviously was a brainchild of me and Brent Buckley. We were just messaging back and forth on Facebook, and Brent saw that I was doing my training in California, and he's like, "Hey, we should do a training together." I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be cool." I said, "Hey, we should rent out a ballroom in Vegas and see who wants to come." And like usual, I put it on social media right away. And all of a sudden we had 100-something people are like, hey, I want to come to that. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, Brent, hey, we're going to do this. He's like, I guess we're doing this. And we started talking about it. I started calling different venues and trying to get it. I'm like, hey, I want to do it at Caesar's Palace. Like, dude, we got to do it at the fucking Palace. You know what I mean? Like, that's where you got to go. It's fucking, it's where Caesar lives there, you know? And so we got that. I'm like, hey, I got the ballroom. And I said, hey, dude, I really want to bring in like a celebrity speaker. And I wanted, just so you know, I wanted Mark Cuban. And then I found out that's who I wanted. Okay. And I'm fucking crazy.
Damn.
But, you know, so obviously I reached out to Mark Cuban's agent. I reached out to a couple other agents and trying to see who's available. And I kind of fell onto Grant Cardone because, you know, Mark Cuban was $400,000 and we're going to have that conversation for him next year. Yeah, I'm going to try to make it happen. But anyways,
What's up?
It's like, have you ever met Gary Vee when he said he's going to buy the Jets? You know, and he
Yep.
just kind of fucking speaking into existence. But
Yep.
so, you know, I fell into Grant Cardone and he's not cheaper. I mean, he's $250,000 to get him out there to the event, right? So I called Brand. I'm like, hey, I'm booking Grant Cardone. He's like, what the fuck you mean? And he's like, how are we going to pay for this shit? I'm like, we'll figure it out, dude. We'll figure it out. And once that Grant Cardone thing happened, everybody thought I was kind of bullshit and lying, right? And as soon as people realized like I wasn't fucking around anymore, and then all of a sudden everybody's like the whole, you know, people always question me, right?
Yeah.
Access started turning the other way, like, oh, maybe we should stop questioning this dude. He keeps doing this, says he keeps saying he does what he keeps doing what he says he's gonna do, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, just all these, you know, I started reaching out to some, you know, Judge Graham, who me and him we work together with Carrots. He's one of my favorite business coaches, and he runs a business training company out in Texas called Burn the Ships. I said, hey, Judge, you want to be part of this? Like, I think it'd be pretty cool and have you guys come in and talk about your scaling stuff, because they're really good at business scaling and stuff. So they came in, and then I started getting all these other names, and now we have, hold on, let me list them off. I don't want to forget anybody, like I always do. So obviously we're starting off with Judge Graham and Matt Monero. They both, you know, Judge has grown, scaled, and exited $100 million businesses multiple times. He took a business public, and then obviously he's got Carrot now, which will be another $100 million business pretty quickly. Let's see, we have Brandon Dawson, who's the CEO of Cardone Ventures, going to be there. Weldon Long, he's going from EGIA, and he's actually going to come over to our event after EGIA. Which he was a last minute.
He's emceeing that event too. How Jesus? that man's gonna be light on sleep that week apparently.
Well, you know, he wasn't originally in there. The whole Gene thing is what ended up getting Weldon in there. So once that kind of flipped, then he came in. We have Grant Cardone that night. So we have Grant Cardone's going to be there headlining it. Then we have our VIP like meet and greet. So everybody gets to meet all these speakers and do photo shoots and all that stuff. All the people that have paid for the VIP. And then we have a big black tie event after that. So I rented out a $40,000 a night penthouse. It's like a 10,000 square feet penthouse at Caesar's Palace. It's got a fucking pool on the balcony. It overlooks the whole strip. It's freaking bitching, dude. And so we got DJ. We got Jody's Garrett's wife, she's been phenomenal. She's the one that's really our event planner and her been putting it all on. But we have cigar rollers. We have all this cool shit that's going to be inside there. So that's just going to be like that night's just going to be like a fucking mastermind. So everybody in there, I got whiteboards and I got all kinds of shit for people to start working on in there.
Church, we know where we might need to be.
Yeah, right. I'll bring an extra black tie just in case.
And that's just on the first day. Then the second day, we have even more big names. So we have Dan Antonelli is going to open up day 2. Obviously going over brand and how to disrupt your market. Me and Brent are going to be on day 1 and day 2 going over. Brent Buck was a $7 million salesman. He's going to go over his step-by-step process on how he creates urgency when there's no weather or demand. And I'll be on the stage with him for that. And then we also got John Madsen about building a championship culture. So John Madsen is an ex-NFL football player. He's turned a very, very big public speaker. So he's going to be speaking. We have Billy Stevens is going to be there with Sera. They're the lead sponsor. Billy's going to go over Sera and all the different things that we're going to be integrating. And we're going to be announcing all of our new partnerships and all the stuff that we have going on with that. Then we have Tommy Mello. He's obviously he wrote the Home Service Millionaire book. So he's going to be there. Then we got Jason Walker right after that. So Jason Walker is going to be going through his sales process. And then we have the VP of Yelp is going to be there, and he's going to be able to get eggs thrown at him or whatever you guys want to bring. Any kind of stuff you want to throw at him, you bring that stuff. You can chug him. Don't chug beers though. I got rules against spilling alcohol. And then I'm going to be on that panel with him talking about how Yelp's growing my business. So Yelp's a very big part of my marketing plan. Ishmael Valdez is going to be on the stage for that also. After that, then I have Tomas Keenan, who's he wrote a book called Unfuck Your Business, and he's the COO of Break Free Academy, which is Ryan Stewman's company. And then the last person speaking will be Ishmael. Ishmael's going to go over, how he's grown his business to a $60 million business and kicking my ass in my own backyard, So he's going to be there. And then we have a big Halloween party that night. Same thing, DJ set up. We got the penthouse again, so it's going to be pretty sick for that.
Dude, that's awesome.
Is that all?
Right.
No, I did.
Well, that is going to be an action-packed lineup. I have a feeling that we'll probably hear you guys across the way when we're at our event, making a lot of noise.
Yeah, the whole thing's crazy. So like I was saying back, I've only been doing this 6.5 years, right? So to go from knowing nothing about HVAC to putting on a fucking show like this and being a part of all this other shit going on is just, I've been blessed. But if anybody's ever been around me for the last 3 years, I just work. Like I just work consistently. And
let me ask you something. So with that rise to, we'll call it stardom, because I don't know what else to call it. Do you ever take a moment, even if it's very brief, to look back and be like, holy shit, I used to be that guy and now I'm this guy? Do you ever just take it in a little bit just so I know it's hard along the way because you're constantly working, but do you ever take that time to just take it in for 30 seconds, a minute?
I do, right? So when I first started, it was just like it was work constantly. I never paid attention to anything. There was no awards, there was no pat on the backs along the way, right? It was just, but I was always working, but that's because I didn't have a structure in place, right? So when you're always chasing something and you're always chasing money, we got to go get the next paycheck. Like there was no structure behind it. So like if you grow as fast as I grew, with no capital behind you, no business know-how, no nothing, right? Like I grew this business knowing fucking nothing. I knew how to sell air conditioners, a lot of them very fast, right? And I knew how to get them installed and I knew how to recruit. And I didn't know the other stuff. So like your whole life gets kind of out of control because you're just always chasing. And, in the last, this last like 6 months to 8 months is when I've really said, okay, no, there's got to be a better way. I got to get this thing to where it's consistently spitting out coins, spitting out money, and then I can go focus on these other things. So I think in the last 6 months, I've had some ups and downs. My dad passed away, and when my dad passed away, that was pretty rough on me, and trying to go through all that stuff while creating the app, while growing the training company, while it's the middle of summer for my HVAC business, while launching the Las Vegas thing, while doing all this other stuff, right? So it was a lot of stuff, but I take more time now than I'd ever have, and just kind of like holy shit. Like I was talking to my partner the other day, Garrett. I'm like, dude, can you fucking believe that I pretty much talked my way into this whole fucking, like, how did this fucking happen? I said I was gonna do it, right? I said I was gonna do all the shit I'm doing now. I've already said I was gonna do it, but to actually make it happen is a whole nother level, right?
Yeah, it really is. It's incredible.
But what I always tell people, have you ever seen the movie Yes Man?
Yes.
That's me. I just say yes. Like, okay, let's go do it. Like, hey, they're like, hey, I got this product. I got this. I'm like, dude, yeah, let's make it happen. How can we make it happen? What do we need to put in place to make it happen? And that's just how I operate now.
That's what's up. It's crazy because, like you said, you just make it happen. Just say yeah and figure it out later. And I love that thought process because there's no. Well, I'd say that there's no regret. What if you could look back? What would you say your biggest regret is over the period of the last 6.5 years?
I think my biggest regret was leaving. Well, I guess I left Service Champions, and that was probably the best place I've ever worked. And if I'd ever left there, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at now. So it's not a big regret. And I also got to kind of see what the ins and outs of a bad business is and stuff like that. So that wasn't that bad. But I think my biggest regret is my ego when I started. Is that I didn't accept anything besides for what if it's my way or the fucking highway, we're going to figure it out. And that drove me, right? But I almost, and I've kind of told this story before, I almost went bankrupt. I almost ran out of money. And the reason that happened is because I didn't put all the things in place that were needed. And then also when you don't focus on something 100%, like I wasn't focusing on absolute 100%, I had all these other things going on, and I was kind of letting other managers and other people like call the shots for me. And all of a sudden I woke up one day, I'm like, holy shit, like I got a problem, right? And I would have never, if I knew now or knew then what I know now, I would have never put myself in that position. If I knew what I knew now, I would be even richer. For like 3 years, if I ever started my business knowing what I know now, I would fuck everybody up. It'd be over. But I don't, so I didn't know back then. So I only knew what I knew, and now it's just kind of evolving. And then I still have to pay back for some of the mistakes that I made, if that makes sense. So yeah, I put myself in some debt. I did all this other stuff, so I'm still paying back those mistakes. But it was an expensive education. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you could go in debt going to college, or college of hard knocks, school of hard knocks.
Dude, I've been through some, I'm telling you, when I write the book, dude, you guys are like, you fucking did that? Like, holy fucking shit. So I did some shit that it's, later on I'll laugh about, but during the time, dude, I'm like, late nights, just stressed out, crying, stuff like that. So, just make sure that anything you do is just go, there's so many good people out there to reach out to for help. And the people that I have around me now, it's like, I can go, any question I have, I can get answers from somebody somewhere, and they're willing to help you. So just know that if you are kind of like I was, just take a minute, reach out to some of these people. They've already been there, done that. Don't learn the way I had to learn. And that's kind of one of my hopes now is, with Hero is we started our business coaching stuff too. We brought in some badass business coaches that we're going to announce pretty soon. But bringing that in my goal is to literally help guys that don't end up in the same position as me or anybody else, because most guys can't get their way out of it. Like if most people, if they were me, they're just going to go bankrupt and be done. They're just is what it is. But I thank God I didn't get that far. And yeah, so I'm hoping that we can help a lot of people along the way with that too.
Dude, that's Victor, awesome. Man, I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing all this. We just touched the tip of the iceberg here. I know that there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on too. Congrats on the event and the success that you already have from it. And I know it's going to be a wild event next week for sure.
Yeah. And, one of the other things, like I told you, I was partner. I don't know if you actually kind of see what the carrots thing is, but if you guys have a minute to check it out, man, it's been a huge deal inside my business since we launched it. Do you guys look it up at all or no?
Yeah.
I didn't. What is it?
So it's pretty much gamifying your KPIs. So, you inside a carrot. So there's different levels too. So there's the field level, right? So a technician has his iPad. He's going to know exactly where he's going to have stack rankings. Exactly where he is at all times. But I get to set the KPIs that I care about. Club memberships, ad revenue per call, closing percentage, revenue, whatever I want to track. Google reviews in there, and then I get to set a level of like, hey, if you hit this KPI that I want you to hit. So Stacy has it. But if you hit 60% club membership sales on the month, you're going to win this prize. And they could be like, we have guys that are winning new iPads. They get to win all kinds of crazy shit. You get to decide what they win, but they have it on their fingertips 24 hours a day. They know where they rank compared to their guys. They know how close they are. That's why it's called a carrot, because you're putting a carrot in front of them. And then we have partnerships with Nike, Adidas, Apple, all these major manufacturers, Yeti, and say Josh, you went to go buy your technician $500 worth of stuff. Well, you can go buy, instead of you go buy one thing for $500. Well, we can get like 4 things for $500. Your guy wins 4 things rather than the one thing you could have bought him, right? And that's because we have these partnerships with these things. So we can bring in some badass gifts for, it might be a $250 gift, but you're getting an Apple Watch, you're getting a $100 gift card, you're getting all this shit for $250 that all the business owners paying. So your guy's getting $400 worth of stuff, you're paying $250, and he's happy, you're happy. So that's kind of what it is. And then also we have a owner's dashboard also. So we roll out the owner's dashboard at my event, and you'll be able to track your daily gross profit versus your overhead. What are you tracking for as far as for the month? Where's you might have a $200,000 overhead. Okay, are you getting close to hitting your overhead to where everything's profits? You'll know that. You'll have your marketing KPIs. You'll have your success rates. All these things will be in there in the owner side. And then we also have like a call center tracking, so you can hit outbound booking percentage, all this stuff. So everybody within your business is going to have something to chase and to go after.
Wow. Is that carrotstech.com? Is that what that is?
Carrots, CARROTS homeservices.com.
Okay. I'm gonna look it up as you're talking. And
Man, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on and sharing everything with us, buddy.
This is great, Victor.
You're
appreciate it.
You have so much stuff going on. You have your plate full and taking time.
I'm sure I'll see you guys on. Cause I get in on Thursday. I get in like at 1:30 on Thursday next week. It's my birthday. So y'all want to come by and hang out with me on my birthday? We can have some fun. But I'll probably just be over at Caesars most of the time. But if you guys want to come meet up or whatever, go play some blackjack, play some craps.
I'm pretty sure that's where I'm staying, so I'll probably see you there.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's kind of weird because, like, you know, I get to go meet my Facebook friends. So,
doesn't it feel weird? You know all these people on social media, but you never met them in person.
Well, you go and they're like, especially like I went to like Joe's thing, right? And they're like scared to talk to me. I'm like, dude, I'm like the most outgoing. I'm the biggest fucking goofball in the room, dude. Like, when you finally meet me, I'm this 6'3" freaking idiot. You know what I mean? So I'm super outgoing. So if you guys want to come and talk to me, I'm like the biggest open book you'll ever meet. I'll give you the good, the bad, the ugly, and try to help as many people as I can. But I'm like, even at Joe's event, I was kind of like, you know, like everybody wanted to talk to me, so it was kind of weird. But I'm like, this is like my event, so I'm like, dude, I'm gonna have like all these fucking people.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I was telling my wife, I'm like, I don't understand how I'm gonna like deal with like this many people in my face, and then also I gotta go up and perform in front of this many people. So it's gonna be an experience, that's for sure.
It'll be cool. Man, I appreciate it.
Can't wait.
Everybody that's here on the show, I appreciate y'all being here. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Victor. He's a man of his word. I mean, he'll respond to you and everything. But with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful and safe day until we talk again next time on the Service Business Mastery Podcast.
All right, see you guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to learn more.